What's up everyone, Tom from the Airsoft Headquarters here, and welcome back. As you can probably tell, I've got a couple of new things going on in the background, so I'm gonna be able to finalize the format of the background. I've got a couple more new things coming that I'm going to throw back there, but for now, I hope it's not too distracting for you guys. Today's video is going to be about some of the new stuff that I have received for my KWA LM4C. If you have not seen my video about the LM4C, you can check that out here following that tag. If you really want to see it, I suggest you possibly watch that before you look at some of the new stuff that I have received. But as you can tell from that video, if you guys have seen it, is that I'm a huge Magpul fan. And so there's a lot of Magpul products that I want to continue to bring in and see if they fit and align with the Airsoft spec of things. One of those things being the Magpul BAD lever. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the Magpul BAD lever, BAD is an acronym that stands for Battery Assist Device. This is a little lever that allows for right-handed shooters to have more control with that bolt release, either to close it or have it open while keeping a hand on the grip. So instead of having to move hands back here in order to rack the charging handle back and have it hold open, you can do that by holding here and using your left hand just to pull back. Or when you reload a magazine, you can press that BAD lever and it'll close the bolt release so you can slide that bolt forward. It kind of just minimizes the overall movements you have to do while working a action bolt for a somewhat realistic rifle. Unfortunately, the BAD lever does not fit the Airsoft spec of gas blowback rifles, at least the KWAs. For some reason, or at least from what I can tell, the bolt release does not extend far enough outwards in order for a BAD lever to properly sit back here. There are a couple other bolt hold open products that are coming from different brands that either completely replace that bolt release or go through the receiver and you permanently modify the receiver. Those are things I really don't want to do. So I'm kind of just looking at overall products that are going to be fairly inexpensive, something that airsofters can just throw onto their rifles if they want to make it cool and unique and maybe offer some unique features like the BAD lever. So unfortunately, for any of you guys that are looking at picking this up, does not fit, does not work. So save yourselves 40 some odd dollars by just not picking that guy up. The other thing is going to be the PTS bolt carrier group. Now this one specifically is the original KWA LM4 bolt carrier group. And I did show that in the original video. It is very realistic looking and has a very realistic type of weight. I grabbed the PTS spec one, which is also advertised as having the same steel construction as the original bolt carrier group, but it has some angled cuts inside of it or outside of it in order to optimize weight reduction, which is supposed to be a faster rate of fire and better gas efficiency. So one of the tests that we're going to be doing today is grabbing the original gas blowback magazines, and we'll be doing a shot counter as well to see if that really is true. So we'll be able to figure that out. I also purchased the GMP CO2 magazine. Now the GMP CO2 magazines are going to be KWA spec, so they will fit and they will shoot. Supposedly, I have not actually tried this out. You guys are going to be the first to see that with me. They also have it in two different velocities. They have 400 feet per second or 350 feet per second. Now out of the box with the original bolt carrier group with gas blowback magazines, the rifle was shooting 400 feet per second. I don't know what the PTS bolt assembly is going to do. We're going to test that out, and then we're going to test to see if the CO2 magazine really is 350 FPS. If you guys are not familiar, a standard can of green gas has an output pressure of about 115 PSI. You know, give or take, with the Neutral branded stuff specifically, what canister you're getting, the 3.0, which is the standard pressure, is about 115 PSI. CO2, the little 12-gram CO2 canisters here, have an output pressure of 900 psi, significantly higher, and so that usually requires magazines to have more filters or depressurization chambers before it actually shoots gas into the rifle itself. Now, there are disclaimers on these GMP CO2 magazines that it could wreck the internals of the LM4. So we're going to try it out, and we're going to see what happens. All in the name of science. Anyway, first time plugging a CO2 into here. Looks like I just press down on this pad right here, and it slides forward. Yep. And on the bottom is a either super wide or what looks to be a 6mm Allen screw. So got my set right here. Let's try the 6 out. Boom, 6 works. So we're gonna unscrew this, put that down so you guys can actually see what's going on. And boom, that's a really big block. And then the CO2 canister sits in like so. So that's about 1 knuckle deep. So the canister goes about that deep into the magazine. So we've got all of this length here inside the magazine, ideally for that depressurization or the filtration. So there should not be any sort of issues with that I can foresee. So we'll just pop that in and reinstall that. And I've worked with CO2 magazines enough to be careful not to cross thread, since Airsoft spec threads are a little bit thinner. So being careful not to wreck our $60 magazines. So it punctured. We turned it until the hissing stopped. And I'm just listening and I'm not hearing any more hissing. So the benefits of CO2 magazine is usually you get a little bit more recoil. You also get better gas efficiency within colder temperatures. Like the state of Wisconsin that I am currently in, there is going to be a pretty noticeable performance difference when we start to get within that 40, 50, 60 degree temperature range. So once we get into that 40 to 60 degrees, it is more ideal that players go with a CO2 propellant system if they wanted to perform or wanted to use a gas blowback type of system. Most traditionally, players are going to have the choice between CO2 or green gas pistols. In some rare cases, players want to use gas blowback rifles, and so we usually suggest getting something that is going to offer them CO2. Otherwise, an HPA converted magazine will also work as well because it's not gas, it's just pressurized oxygen, so there's not that cool down effect from difference of temperature. Science and physics and chemistry and stuff, and we're not interested. Let's just shoot it, right? Let's just go shoot. But coffee. All right, guys, we're here at the shooting range. Just so you guys know, it is currently 76 degrees. I'm going to be using 0.20 gram BBs as well as some of the newer Puff Dino green gas that we received. We were out of the Elite Force in the Valken. We did receive the Puff Dino Power Up, which is a higher pressure, but I'm going to be using the standard pressure in the larger canisters. Just so you guys know what the results are going to be. And the CO2 is the Umarex 12 gram CO2 canister. So I've got 2 green gas magazines, both filled with .20s. I have 1 CO2 magazine. I have 2 bolt carrier groups. This one from KWA, this is the stock one. This one is the PTS enhanced or upgrade bolt carrier for the KWA LM4s. So we're going to be using this one with the green gas magazine. One of them will be getting just a variable benchmark as far as what the stock configuration is going to be shooting with .20s. Then we're going to shoot the CO2 magazine with the stock one, and then we'll swap over to the PTS, and then we'll do the same thing with a green gas mag and then a CO2. And slide in. Make sure you're out, down. Function test complete. Eye protection, don't need ear protection because it's airsoft. All right, so. Okay, so out of 10 shots, max velocity was 405 feet per second, minimum of 379, and then we got the average of 391. So right about that 400 benchmark. So we're going to take the unnumbered one, just so we all know. Unnumbered magazine was the original. Leave that with there. And then the CO2 mag. This is the GMP CO2 magazine that is advertised to shoot 350 feet per second. So we're going to see if that's true. Shooting. Well, the first shot's not true. Nope. 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 Oh. Well, something happened there. I'm not quite sure what. We'll just load another one in. Okay, well, it's loaded. Didn't quite feel it right. So that was number 4, shot number 5. That came down quite a lot. So we'll do a couple more. Okay, so the GMP CO2 magazine that was advertised to shoot 350 feet per second is not shooting 350 feet per second. Who knew? So I took about 11 total shots. The max velocity was 448 with a minimum of 382. Now the 382 was the only one to get below 420 feet per second. So I don't know if they accidentally sent me the 400 FPS CO2 magazine, or if this really is supposed to be the 350 internal one. So I can totally understand why they gave the disclaimer, this could mess up your internals, because wow, at 440 freaking feet per second, yeah, that's gonna break some internals. That's gonna cause a lot of damage. Crack that open, and now we're gonna swap over the bolt carrier group to the PTS, which is supposed to be slightly angled. It is slightly, while also supposed to be lighter weight, resulting in better gas efficiency and overall better performance. So we'll slide that inside of there. So keep this bolt carrier with that mag, and then we've got a loaded chamber, so no need to rack one. Yeah, we'll keep that. We'll keep that. Now, let's clear that out. Let's get a blank slate going for the PTS bolt carrier group. All right, bolt carrier group with green gas magazine. Whoop. Okay. Well, it's shooting below 400 feet per second. It's got the maximum of 399.9, a minimum of 375 with an average of 385. It definitely seems to kick harder with the PTS bolt carrier group than it does with the standard KWA. As you can see, it actually ricocheted my GoPro off, which collect that footage later. Really solid, really snappy. And we're out. Now, testing the GMP CO2 magazine on the PTS bolt carrier group. Let's go. Sorry, buddy. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna go for it. Me. shoot. Man, was that fast. All right, first shot was 471.1 feet per second. And then it looks like the lowest was 399.5. Yeah, max was about 471, and then started to average out about 438, I would say. Is that a lot of damage? The CO2 does not last long at all, I would say. Since we did 12 and then 10, so 22 total shots, and then, well, that was weird. And then it just sputtered out the rest. Gas efficiency with CO2 magazines suck. So let's fully fill up a magazine, which means we're gonna have to dump one. That's okay. More efficiency means we gotta do a RPS test, right? So with what's left in here, looks like about 18 rounds per second with the PTS bolt carrier group. How many shots was that? So we had 17 rounds left inside of that magazine. I think that was the unmarked one. Okay. So we're going to, I know we're not supposed to do this, but we're going to just dry fire this. Get rid of that. So we're going to take one of my magazines that still has some gas in it. What we're going to do is we're going to fully fill it. Jesus Christ, that was a lot of fucking gas. Wow. I can almost feel a weight difference. Wow. Okay. So we're going to dry fire. We're not supposed to, but we're just going to. And we're just going to see how many shots we get from a fully filled green gas magazine with the PTS bolt carrier group. And we'll just see how many we get. Okay, so I'm at 120 and the bolt is definitely seeming sluggish. That is some massive cooldown effect. I'm gonna give it a couple seconds there in my back pocket against my bootay. Flip the magazine to the other side. Could use a good cleaning. All right. Ooh. All right, so we had a double tap there. Now, we got to, I think, 127 before the original KWA bolt carrier group started to get double taps, versus this one was 138. So a little bit better efficiency. Yep, and completely sputters out. So, 143, I think, was the end result for the green gas, fully filled green gas magazine with the PTS LM4 bolt carrier group, which honestly is about the same result as the KWA bolt carrier group, the original stack one. Maybe if I clean them and get back to it, maybe in another video. But for now, what I've seen, what you guys have seen, I don't think there's any performance difference other than what I thought was a little bit better of a kick between green gas magazines, between the KWA and the PTS bolt carrier group, which we're going to see if we can confirm that. I felt that the PTS bolt carrier group had a little bit better snap to it. A blind test. Attempt to insert a bolt carrier group without looking too much. Trying hard not to look, try to see the individual bolt carrier groups. Charge it. I think that's the one I just filled, right? No, this one. This is the one that I filled. All right. Okay, okay. That one seemed pretty weak. Trying not to look at the bolt carrier overall. So, because there is a slight difference between the PTS and the KWA bolt carrier groups as far as externals, the PTS having the longer cuts, like I said. So I'm trying not to look and seeing if I can tell via just a blind test the difference between the two. And so far, I haven't seen any distinctive detail to tell me which one is which. I have to say that the one that is currently installed inside of here is going to be a little bit snappier. That could have also been the result of just getting off of the CO2 magazine, which I don't know why I grabbed the CO2 magazine, thinking it would help me in disassembling it. And the one that is currently in here, excuse me, is the KWA, or the PTS, excuse me. So the PTS bolt carrier group does have a little bit better response, or at least a snappier response, via a blind test. So, cool. Advertised as being 350 feet per second, clearly lied to me. It was supposed to be 350, it's more like 450. So, suck that magazine. I'm going to stick with the stock KWA ones, especially because the KWA magazines, while these are the PTS palm style magazines, I do get more shots overall, as you could see. And they actually do shoot at 400 or below feet per second. The PTS bolt carrier group as well also actually shot at 400 or below, while the stock KWA bolt carrier group within the 75-degree temperature environment that we are in was shooting slightly above 400 feet per second, which could be an issue if you did decide to go to any sort of outdoor fields or indoor that allow 400 as a maximum velocity. So my suggestion is stick with green gas magazines. You get way more shots overall, as well as upgrading to the PTS enhanced bolt carrier group if you wanted to. You get more shot efficiency as well as more consistent velocity. So both advantages in my book. So let's kick it back to the studio. All right, so we're back in the studio, and just to reiterate what we went through with the, make sure I have everything, with the bolt carrier groups, this is the stock KWA one. While this one is a very proficient charging handle, bolt carrier assembly group, there are better options available, such as the PTS ones. We're always a fan of PTS as a whole, as a brand, especially since KWA and PTS work side by side in a lot of projects. So I don't think they have any issue with me suggesting going with the PTS bolt carrier group instead of the stock one. Especially since we did see some advantages, such as better efficiency, more consistent velocity as well. The GMP CO2 magazine, which I don't have in front of me because I yeeted it into our chronograph area, which fine by me. Not like I can use it anywhere anyway. So there it's probably going to stay for a minute. Shooting well over 400 feet per second, and it was advertised as 350 feet per second, which I can't get over. It's set. I intentionally bought 350 feet per second just so I could possibly have an option to go indoors with. That didn't happen. I'm terrified to know what the 400 feet per second CO2 magazine could possibly be shooting at. Wow, that is disgusting. Anyway, you can stick with the PTS polymer magazines, or not the polymer magazines, the EPM magazines from PTS. These are the ones that I picked up. The stock magazine is actually the one that's sitting inside of it, which is the Stanek style of magazine. This still works really, really well. It has the same internal construction as the PTS ones. I just like the look of the PTS ones, so that's why I went with those. They're $5 more, but whatever. And the other thing that I had purchased for the LM4 very, very recently was the Magpul bad lever. Obviously, I'm a Magpul whore, so I have to get everything Magpul and try to throw it or vomit it onto one rifle, as some people have said I do, regardless of what color grade I have. So if you also are a fan of Magpul, the bad lever does not work on these guys. I did have a conversation with a gentleman that wanted to use these as a training platform. Unfortunately, the bad lever does not work, which, whatever, there's ways to work around that. Hey guys, Tom from the next day, because I recorded this in the morning, did work all day, and then ended up working out, and so got home at 11:30 p.m. and I had a box that had some of the Magpul accessories that I had purchased. So this is just a little introduction. As you can see, I've got different shirt. Got the Magpul shirt, which, like I said, I'm a Magpul fan, so got one of those shirts. Okay, so I purchased the MOE trigger guard for the regular firearms. The MOE trigger guard does not actually work. It is the correct size as far as fitment inside of this space here. However, the accessories, or not the accessories, but the little pins and screws that come in the box or in the bag with it are not the correct sizing for the LM4. And so I accidentally, while trying to remove the original trigger guard, which is this little flat piece right here, and I'll actually do a zoom in of all of these, I accidentally broke one of the sides of the receivers, the little tang or tab that extends outwards in order to properly pin the trigger guard in place. So that little tab on the right hand side of the rifle here actually broke off on me. I don't think I was being too forceful, but just so you guys know, this is a possibility, so be careful. That's trash now. And so, wanted to replace the flat trigger guard with one of the Magpul ones. I thought it looked a little better. So the real rifle trigger guard is the correct spec, but doesn't have the correct size accessories. So I grabbed the PTS and Magpul, the AEG spec of trigger guard, which is the one that I have right here. This one has the correct size pins and screws, but the actual size of the guard itself is much too large. And so this does not fit, but I got the accessories from this one specifically to work with the real rifle trigger guard. So just so you know, if you really want to change that part out, you're gonna have to make 2 purchases for trigger guards to get the accessories, the pins and screws from one, while using the properly sized trigger guard from another. And then what you do with the rest of those pieces, like the AEG one that I can't get the accessories for, it's just trash probably at this point. So I've got that on there. Even with the tab broken off, it does hold in place. Obviously with the tab broken, I don't have enough space in order to get that roll pin in place, so I had to get one of my Dremel and cut it short, just to make sure it fits and I'm not scratching the shit out of my hand. So I've got that figured out. I also purchased a Magpul MOE illumination kit. Now this one is actually pretty cool because it comes with 2 of the handguard MOE mounting systems for regular Picatinny, which I have a slanted upward 45-ish attachment on here for the front of my handguard, so it extends a little bit forward, and then it comes with 2 different pressure pad holders. Now it does come with adhesive tape inside of there. I skipped the adhesive tape part because I just wanted to throw it on there. I was too lazy. But it seems to be holding in place pretty well. And so I've got the light mounted forward on the rifle. Let me drop this down so you can actually see. Mounted this forward on the rifle past the actual muzzle just a little bit. And then the pressure pad sits down here. So when I'm shooting right-handed with my grip right here, I can hit that pressure pad pretty easily and then get stuff illuminated. So this is actually something that I wanted to do for a while with the other MOE handguards that I have. These are actually very, very inexpensive. I don't exactly remember what I originally paid for it, but they have come down in price from what I originally remember. So yeah, if you like the look of the MOE handguard, but you want something that's going to be low profile, streamlined as far as a pressure pad, on my MCX or even my MP5, I had the flashlight mounted forward in the same position on the right hand of the rifle, and I had the pressure pad coming underneath, and I had it zip tied on the left hand side here so I could still press it. For the MCX, I couldn't find anything that would be M-LOK specific as far as a pressure pad mounting system that I thought was inexpensive enough, because I'm sure if I spent the money I could get something really, really nice, but I try to cheap out and save some cash as much as I can. But there are instances where I want to spend a couple bucks as well, which is a little hypocritical considering these are both very, very expensive builds. Yeah, save money where I can. Anyway, that's what I have so far as updates with the other accessories that I had purchased for the LM4. So let's go back to the original footage that I shot yesterday. Obviously, I'm rough on a lot of my own personal stuff. I get some really expensive stuff and I abuse the crap out of it because I can. I also want to try to prove a point that the money that you as other players or consumers of other airsoft replicas, if you do invest a lot of money into it, it is going to be into a product that can hold up a lot. And so you may see me doing some things to my rifles that normal people would not suggest you do, in the interest of preserving those internals or externals for as long as possible. For me personally, I'm trying to prove a point, right? I'm intentionally doing a lot of shit I'm not supposed to do, just so I can say, hey, I've used the shit out of them and they work really, really well. Also because it's Magpul, with this one specifically, I want to see what's going to fit and what's going to be compatible, since the gas blowback is supposed to be mil-spec and supposed to fit a lot of stuff that is for real firearms. But we're finding out that's not the case. Anyway, I hope this may have been educational. I know I just went on a rant very, very quickly there. So thank you guys for staying to the end of the video. Of course, like and subscribe if you managed to stay this long. I appreciate all of you that continue to watch until the very end of my videos. Like and subscribe. If you have anything that is noteworthy, put it down in the comments section below. Tell me I'm doing a good job. Tell me I'm pretty. I always appreciate the compliments. Until next time, you guys take care, stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.